All right. Um, so I'm not going to be talking as loudly as it's still morning, and it's early, so some of my family members might still be sleeping at this point. But I just want to talk a little bit. Um, if you were not on social media last night, or if you were already in bed because you have work tomorrow, um, or technically the next day. Um, it has been rumored, not confirmed, rumored that WWE might be selling to Saudi Arabia. And that stirred up a lot of controversy and a lot of people that are angry, upset, frustrated, disappointed. I mean, the news about Vince McMahon being back was bad enough as it is. And then to top this all off, I mean, there are a lot of fans of WWE who are, again, as I said, angry and they're upset. And what this so um, apparently, if WWE does sell to Saudi Arabia, there'll be a private company, basically, meaning they won't have to answer to any type of sponsors out there who, you know, potentially hold the company back from doing, extreme things. Like, it's why we don't see a lot of, I don't know. If Vince had his way, you'd probably see a lot of, bikini contests still going on there in the WWE. But, you know, I think thankfully, thanks to the, evolution for women's wrestling, we don't see that type of stuff anymore. But who can say, with Vince McMahon's, creation, and especially if it gets sold to Saudi Arabia. Well, actually, even if it gets sold to Saudi Arabia, not I don't know much about the Saudi government, but I do know that we wouldn't see that. We definitely wouldn't see that. I don't think the Saudis would want Vince McMahon to show off the women in bikini contest, of course, but that's beside the point. It really doesn't matter if these sponsors are holding back, the full creation power that WWE can give. It really doesn't matter. You can create good wrestling content without having to worry about your sponsors, getting them upset whatsoever. Um, but there is such a negative impact that will follow if Vince McMahon truly does sell to Saudi Arabia. I mean, think about this. A couple of people pointed this out to me last night that John Cena would not go wrestle for WWE again. He wouldn't even show up there because he's got his Hollywood career to think about, and he wouldn't be, appearing in Saudi Arabia. Now, I don't know how he feels about them personally. The Rock, you know, people have been wanting The Rock to return for one more match with him and Roman Reigns. Well, if WWE sells to Saudi, you can kiss that match goodbye. It's not going to happen. And then there's Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, who I don't believe can wrestle in Saudi Arabia. If this company gets sold to Saudi Arabia, they have no idea about the consequences of their actions. Now, I ran a poll um, last night asking people if Vince McMahon is put back in creative and that, WWE does sell to Saudi Arabia, would you give AEW a chance to watch it? Some fans said that, they don't know. And I remember putting that as an option, in my poll on my Twitter, because I remember feeling to myself, I was like, man, I was just like, I feel so bad for these fans. I was like, they were really happy when Triple H took over for creative, and their whole world is just coming apart right now. And I was like, and it's not slowing down whatsoever. First, Stephanie, steps down. Then Vince McMahon is, put back in as the chairman of the board. And, Nick Khan, maybe CEO, whatever. But, it was always originally Vince and Nick Khan pretty much together there. And Triple H, who knows how long he's going to last in his role as, the head of creative. And then think about this, Vince McMahon already has his people. He still has Kevin Dunn. He still has Bruce Pritchard out there. These guys are still working for the company, last I heard. So Vince McMahon has all that he needs there pretty much. Um, but again, I don't think that they've thought about the consequences of their actions, or at least at least not them, but Vince McMahon hasn't considered the possibility of the consequences of selling to Saudi Arabia. I mean, if that deal were to go down, I mean, you have a lot of fans that, they might still watch just because, they put up with all the bullshit that WWE has done to them over the years. And it's basically like a bad habit. Despite knowing that you don't like what you're watching, you still watch it anyways because it's a force of habit for you. Oh, Mondays is Monday Night Raw. Some people, they just can't help themselves and they tune in. Even when they don't like the show, they still tune in because they have such a loyalty to WWE. And I feel bad for those people because they find it hard to break the cycle. Um, I was one of those people before, but I just stopped watching. I found better time to do stuff with my life instead of watching a show that was making me upset and actually more angry than anything. Um, and so I stopped watching for a long time of Raw, and I gave up on SmackDown as well too because things just weren't getting better over there either. Things are different now. Well, for now, um, but yeah, it is just there are those people who will continue to watch WWE despite everything that they ever do to them, no matter how angry that they might be about Vince McMahon being back, or the fact that if a deal is made and Saudi Arabia gets WWE, that they'll just still watch because they're like, I have to. I've stuck with this product. I've stuck with this company this long. Might as well see it through to the end. You don't have to do that. You have an option to say goodbye to the company that has shown you no respect, pretty much. Because if this deal does go down with Saudi Arabia, again, it just shows that Vince McMahon, once again, does not listen to his audience. We know he doesn't listen for the most part. Very rarely has Vince McMahon ever changed his mind for the better. And someone will say, oh, the WrestleMania plans, for Daniel Bryan. Yeah, that's like once in a blue moon that Vince McMahon does that. More often than not, it's always about what he wants. Proof in point, with many people telling Vince he should stay away from WWE, let us handle the company, and you make the money. Well, Vince McMahon just couldn't have that. He still came back despite everyone trying to tell him to stay away, that, it's not good for the company if you were to return right now. Well, he didn't care. He didn't listen. He said, I will make it better. I mean, that's what he's telling himself in his mind, that I will make it better. And it's just, there's such a backlash from just rumors. Now, of course, there were those people who, those wrestling news sites who will say, oh, WWE has been sold, because they were looking for clickbait onto their websites. And I don't really like those wrestling, websites that, do clickbait. And they say that WWE has been sold by tricking you into just reading their article, by making you want to be like, oh, it hasn't been sold. It's just been rumored to be sold. Now, I believe this is the first company. This is the first of all companies. I don't really know how to call Saudi Arabia. I mean, it's not a company, but or Saudi Arabia funds. So I don't really know, like, if they're a company or something. I haven't really looked into it, but that they're the only people that I've heard anything about who have made an offer to WWE to buy them out, and Vince might take the deal. I mean, it's not a done deal as of yet if WWE will sell to Saudi Arabia, but it seems, I don't know if I want to say more than likely. I'll give like a percentage. I'll say 60% chance they do sell and 40% chance they don't. We'll have to see. Um, but I just read everything on Twitter, and usually Twitter is can be a good thing and a bad thing. Twitter was actually a good thing at this point to really get the vibe of how all of the wrestling community was feeling. And there are those people who, will think they'll still watch WWE. And ever since Triple H took over for creative, they're like big fans of it and whatnot. So they're big supporters of the company. Um, but even them, they were like, I don't, after everything, it's like, I don't know if I could support this company. They say, I don't know if this goes down, how I can still watch it. And again, some of those people will say those things and they will, still watch regardless. Um, but I truly believe that some people that if WWE does sell to Saudi Arabia, that some people just turn away and they say, you know what, it's the last straw. And they just say, I see this company for what it really is. It's all about the money and all about them and not about us. It's like it's always been about them. It's never been about our pleasure. It's been always been about Vince's pleasure. And I don't mean to turn this into a hate boner for Vince McMahon. I'm just I'm just telling you how a majority of the wrestling fans feel. And I can't speak for everyone, but I can pick up the vibes that people are feeling, um, based on some of the members of the wrestling community. Again, sorry, a little bit still trying to wake up here. It's 8 in the morning and not a lot of light in the room. I was thinking about turning on other lights, but I'm like, you know what? One half on the light, the other half on the dark side. I guess it feels pretty symbolic for the title of this video. But you just have to wonder. I talked about last night about how some of the talent be feeling with Vince McMahon back in the chairman position, and I was like, they've got to be thinking that, well, Jesus, how long is my job going to last? Well, here now it's just like Jesus, like it's not even just the talent that Vince let go, but some of the talent that worked for Vince McMahon that weren't let go. You got to wonder if they're thinking, do I even want to stay with this? It's like, man, I was like, maybe I'll hit up John Cena and see if he can get me into one of his next movies. you know, uh, it's it's an unusual time for the WWE fans, um, and again, I feel bad for them because they had a majority of wrestling fans were asking for a change, and that change came with Triple H. And Stephanie McMahon gave Triple H that power of the head of creative. Um, Now Stephanie's gone, and Vince is back in charge. Vince does not have head of creative, does not have creative control yet. But it's not looking good, man. So I just feel bad for those people who had everything that they wanted, and Triple H was just basically getting his feet wet, and just all this news about WWE selling and everything, and especially potentially selling to Saudi Arabia. It's just not the news that wrestling fans wanted, and I feel bad for them, just because they've lost everything. They're losing hope in this company, and again, I just feel bad because they had everything they wanted with Triple H in charge, and now the whole ground is rumbling. No pun intended. Royal Rumble. There you go. Um, Everything's just crumbling at the feet of some of the wrestlers, and with Triple H. How do you think Triple H must be feeling right now? His wife is gone from the company. His father-in-law is back in charge when people told him to stay away, and Triple H and Stephanie should bring Vince McMahon to his knees. God. Triple H should hit Vince with one more pedigree and tell him, "Stay home, old man." Oh man, but it just it just sucks, man. Because I as I said on my Twitter, I do like AEW a lot more. I find their wrestling content to be a little bit more exciting, but I'm also not a fool and to realize that WWE is more popular than AEW, and that's where I get a lot of my I've heard people actually saying that, and you know what? I think it would actually be a great get. So they wouldn't be able to bring back WCW as WWE owns the rights to it, unless I guess Saudi Arabia bought WWE, and then I guess if Triple H said, "Hey, give me the rights to WCW," I don't know how all that really works out, but I could potentially see Triple H at this point being disgusted and Vince McMahon and just giving up and wanting to go work with AEW and taking William Regal with him. You know, Tony Khan and William Regal still have a great talking relationship. They left on good terms. Tony Khan let William Regal out of his contract early, so there's a great respect there that Tony Khan has for William Regal. So I mean, it wouldn't be out of the question if Triple H were to ever go to AEW. You know, I don't know if it would happen, but it's always a possibility that there's only so much that a man can take. And Triple H, I think, would be a great addition to AEW as an advisor for Tony Khan. And that would be a great way of Tony Khan to really stick the finger to Vince McMahon and say, "Man, I just got your son-in-law. What the fuck are you going to do now?" Stephanie, I think that Stephanie should be a great get for AEW as well, too. But I don't know if Stephanie really, wants to work in the wrestling business as much. I mean, I think if I had to guess what Stephanie would really want to do with her life, I think at this point she's done enough working in like an office role with the WWE that I think she'd just more want to, go if they were to go to AEW. I feel like that Stephanie would just want to go there to just, hang out with the girls and talk with them and support them. What will happen to WWE 2K23? Um, with 2K23, I mean, that's actually a good question, because if WWE does sell to Saudi Arabia, what will these other companies do? A lot of companies are not friendly with Saudi Arabia as of late, and a lot of companies have backed out. So, where does the video game go? Will there be a video game at that point? Um, I mean, I would think that 2K could probably back out of their deal with WWE if they wanted to, and that's a good question. I don't know if there would be a 2K23 at that point. Um, and you know, um, I think that's all I gotta say about the video game there. But think about this: people. I was listening to Dave Meltzer. I think it was Meltzer who said, "Think about Mattel. That would Mattel want to continue the relationship with WWE?" I don't think so. There's a lot of consequences that WWE will have if they actually do sell to Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of people that they're going to lose, and they have to think about this before they really make that sale. There, is it worth it? Think about the money that you'll that you're making right now. If you sell to Saudi Arabia, sure, you'll make a lot of money. There's no denying Saudi Arabia has a lot of money that they can give to WWE. But at that point, you've just already sold everything. So the female wrestlers, I'm not really concerned about with Saudi Arabia. I'm sure that some of them would want to leave WWE as they probably don't fully support Saudi Arabia. But we have seen some changes with Saudi Arabia allowing some of the women to wrestle on their shows there. So I wouldn't be fully concerned about the female talent there in WWE. It's just that we know that the women's wrestlers would have to be covered in like full body suits, if they were to still wrestle there. If WWE does sell to Saudi Arabia. Again, just as a reminder, this is not, confirmed. WWE has not, sold to Saudi Arabia just yet. but it's, Saudi Arabia is the only people that I've heard actually offer any type of deal to WWE. I was hearing something that back in 2016 that people were saying that it would be the perfect time for WWE to sell uh, WWE if they were going to, but they didn't, and no one else that I know of has really offered WWE up anything. And when you think about it, there are probably, companies out there that are looking, that were just watching and thinking about buying WWE, but if they're seeing that WWE is in talks with Saudi Arabia and potentially wanting to sell out to them, they might feel like, wait, why would I want to buy a company that is that toxic? And especially know this, that one of the main reasons why Vince McMahon would sell to Saudi Arabia is probably so he can still have all of the control over his company, instead of, because most companies, they wouldn't want Vince McMahon in charge. If they bought WWE, they would kick him out because they would say you're a liability to WWE and you're just not worth having right now. I mean, like, you're still going on with all your legal issues to that I know of. Triple H and Stephanie could buy NWA, Impact, or New Japan Wrestling. I don't know about New Japan. Impact Wrestling, that's a good NWA and Impact Wrestling, that's a good idea there. If Triple H and Stephanie have saved up the money there, that's actually that's a really good idea. That, Impact, I mean, there's no way, I don't think they would turn down any help from Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. I mean, they have a lot of knowledge about the business, and Triple H still has some people that are actually working for Impact Wrestling that um, he probably likes and would like to do business with again. Um, the main ones that come to the top of my head there are Matt Cardona and Brian Myers. I don't know about the NWA talent, about who Triple H really has much of a relationship with, but yeah, if they Impact Wrestling, I mean, they're doing fine, but I mean, that Impact would probably like to grow into larger arenas to get some of those fans back. And that if it was confirmed that Triple H and Stephanie did, buy Impact Wrestling, or they've been made, head of creative for Impact Wrestling, that a lot of fans would actually follow Impact Wrestling at that point, just to see what Triple H will do with that company. So I think Impact would probably be between all three of those options. I think Impact Wrestling would be the best one. I really don't see New Japan being um, someone that Triple H would buy out or even do business with. Mostly because Triple H is probably still pissed at AEW, and AEW have their working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Um, I mean, I would like to think that Triple H isn't petty about AEW beating NXT, but I love the man, but at the same time, that he's a weird one. First, he says, that The Rock better save us and buy WWE. Hey, he already bought XFL from Vince McMahon. He said, you know what? I won't let you destroy my legacy, Vince. The Rock says I'm buying WWE. Oh, shit. Hey, I'm pretty sure that The Rock could do it, man. I mean, I have no idea how much money that The Rock has, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot of fucking money. And if he really wanted to, he could probably buy out Vince McMahon, especially if the XFL does take off, like The Rock wants it to, fuck it, man. Why not just buy another thing? The Rock and John Cena put their money together to stop Vince McMahon. Oh, man. That sounds like a freaking movie right there to watch. That'll be put on a Vince McMahon documentary series. Jesus Christ. But yeah, there's just the talent have basically stayed quiet, on Twitter. Nobody's really talking. The wrestlers, like, some of them, like, are having fun. Triple H and AEW would be lit. And actually, I remember I did say that Triple H might go to AEW just because he might have had enough with it. And I contradicted myself by saying that Triple H might still be pissed off at AEW for beating NXT. But at this point, like, Triple H, if he was to talk to William Regal, and Regal's like, yeah, they're actually pretty great over there, Hunter. I mean, fuck, man. I think that was more Gordon Ramsay than William Regal, but they're both England. um, so it could always be a possibility. Um, I don't think Tony Khan would let Triple H buy him out, though. Of course, it's Tony's company, but Tony Khan needs some of the help that he can get. He's got John Moxley and Chris Jericho working under like a uh, more like coaches rules under their new contracts. I think they said producers though, but I don't really know what producers really do. I don't. They help produce the show, whatever that means. Um, I don't really. I'm not really one big with all the technical terminology and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, more people that can be on Tony Khan's side there, the better. And if Triple H is one of those guys, that a lot of people who work for AEW, they did have a great relationship with Triple H. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, um, Brian Danielson. I don't know about John Moxley, but I don't think they had any problems. Jericho and Triple H are friends now, so. But yeah, it's So again, I'm gonna end the video just so I can make sure and have time to get myself ready for work. And I was only planning to talk for 15 minutes, but Solo Drip came in and wanted to chat. So thanks for being in here, buddy. Um, but yeah, it's an unfortunate time for the wrestling community, um, at least for the WWE side of things. And here's something that actually I heard last night. Sean Ross Sapp did not say it, but some of his crew were talking during a live stream, and they were saying, if WWE were to sell to Saudi Arabia, could this work out in AEW's benefit? Would more buyers look for the next wrestling company out there that they would want to get in bed with? And they've been in bed with WWE, and they're like, you know what? Fuck these guys. They just sold to Saudi Arabia. What's this AEW I've heard about? They look at them and they say, well, they treat their women with respect. The wrestlers put on a good show. There's bleeding, but that's part of the wrestling business. That's fine. And a little bit of cuss words here and there, but we could work with that. There are probably some companies out there that are willing to do business like that. I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm not one for really understanding the whole company and about bonds and buyers and stuff like that. I just worry about doing my live streams for Raw, SmackDown, and AEW. That's pretty much what I do, is just watch to give my live stream reactions for that and do my own wrestling gameplay. That's usually what I put my concern with. I lost my train of thought now. But that's where it could actually be a good thing for AEW if that were to happen. But there's no guarantee that a company would go after AEW, just because when you think about it, AEW, I think they've been around for I think Dynamite's almost been around for 4 years at this point, and that's awesome. But at the same time, keep in mind that that's still kind of a new in the eyes of a company. That's probably still like a new company that they might think like, well, maybe if they last 6 years, then we'd be interested. So that's just probably what some companies out there would be thinking, that we'd like to try them out, but at the same time, can they still grow or stay alive? So you got to be wondering if some fans will actually be tuning into Dynamite tonight after the news about the potential sale of WWE to Saudi Arabia. Will those fans tune in tonight to see what Dynamite is in store? I mean, they picked a hell of a night for it. We've got the Elite and Death Triangle in a trios ladder match for the trios titles. Moxley and Hangman Adam Page is sure to be a bar fight, and Saraya and Tony Storm taking out Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. And of course, there's going to be Brian Danielson against Konosuke. I may have said his name wrong. I'm sorry. I'm still a little bit trying to wake up here. So it would be a hell of a night for fans to tune in to give it a shot. But yeah, this is honestly, they have to be careful. WWE has to be. Like Vince McMahon, like he doesn't always listen to his audience. He always usually listens to himself. But this is where Vince McMahon really needs to slow down and think about what he's doing before he makes a sell, because bringing himself back into the company is one thing. He's already brought a negative impact, to himself on that. You know, keeping Triple H in charge right now of head of creative is still keeping some good vibes with the fans to WWE. But, then this news that just piled on top of it of a potential sale to Saudi Arabia, I mean, that's only gonna make that just was more dirt, and this happened all in the same day. 3 major news. Stephanie left. Triple H back in charge of, the chairman of the board. Triple H not confirmed, but that it won't be long before Triple H is probably ousted from the head of creative, and then, the potential sale of WWE going to Saudi Arabia, of being sold to Saudi Arabia. It's it's mind-blowing how much wrestling news can just get exposed within hours. It wasn't even 24 hours. This happened with all about 6 hours of Stephanie gone, Vince back, Triple H possibly going to be gone, a potential sale to Saudi Arabia. Jesus Christ. It's mind-blowing how all this just happened so fast. And again, I just want to end this right now, so I can make sure I don't talk too long. I don't want to take up all your guys' time. But it's just Vince McMahon really needs to be careful here, because again, it's one thing to bring yourself back to the company. It's another, kick in the dirt of the fans. I can't think of an analogy I want to make right now, so I'll just use that. It's another, blow to the fans if you sell the company to Saudi Arabia, where some fans, they still don't even watch Crown Jewel because they don't want to support Saudi Arabia, and that's their decision, and I completely accept that. I don't watch Crown Jewel myself. I've only tuned in once, and I was like, not really worth it again, and it's just he's got to be careful with how much he thinks that fans are going to, take it. Because again, there are a lot of fans who will stick with the company until they pretty much die, because it's all they've known is WWE, and they're so loyal to, this company, no matter what, they'll still have their support, because it's a force of habit for them. And so you'll still have those fans that will keep tuning in, even if WWE, does them dirty. Vince McMahon coming back when, he was told not to. He was told that it wouldn't be a good idea to come back. Came back anyways. People say that we don't really, fans were like, wait, Saudi Arabia, what do they have to do with all this? And then, potentially talks with it. Like I had a feeling when I heard that Saudi Arabia, was interested in buying WWE, I was like, well, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for WWE to sell the company to them. They already do business with Saudi Arabia, despite the wishes of, a lot of people, wanting them to back out of their partnership with Saudi Arabia, but they still do it anyways. And so I was like, it's not out of the realm of possibility of it happening. So again, I'm just going to end this right now, so that way I don't take up your guys' time, and I still have to get myself to work and ready for that, yada, yada, yada. The good news is that AEW Dynamite is on tonight. We will be live streaming that. The good news is, if you are a subscriber or you've watched my videos before, I do an AEW Universe mode. I am about to hit 100 episodes tonight. We are going to do a live stream of that one tonight before we go live for Dynamite. That's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about and covered. I wasn't planning to talk this long, but hey, I got a motor mouth, guys. What can I say? And Solo Drip helped out by keeping me pretty busy here. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. And if you want to hit the like button down below, if you feel I deserve it, you can hit the subscribe button as well. Leave a comment, as I will respond to everyone who leaves a comment in the section, unless you say something that says boobies. I don't really understand what that has to do with with what I'm talking about here. And then hit the bell icon while you're there, so that way you'll always be notified when I go live for any videos. So Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and hopefully Vince McMahon thinks better of this. But you and I all know that Vince McMahon, will do what Vince McMahon wants. He will do what he sees fit, and it could be all over for, could be all over for what people just could be all over. So that's it. So good luck, WWE. Good luck, Triple H. Good luck, everybody. Feel sorry for the fans who really wanted this all to go well, and it's just all turned into mush right now. So I'm sorry for those fans. Yeah, I really am. I wanted it to work out because I was excited about the potential changes that we were going to see with Triple H and the head of creative. And we started seeing some of those changes, and they were great. And then he was only just getting started because, like, it takes a while to figure out, what you want to do with your direction of the WWE pretty much. And now, Triple H was only in the head of creative for about 6 or 7 months, and we don't know how long he's going to last in the head of the creative. Again, like this type of news has really moved so fast yesterday. Again, Stephanie stepped down. Vince is back. Triple H possibly, going to be tossed out as head of the creative, and the potential sale to Saudi Arabia. So news is traveling very fast, and it's just like, for all we know, we could look up on our phones, and today we see that Triple H has been fired. You never know. Every day is something to pay attention to now because of how quickly things are changing and moving inside of WWE. So we're going to be watching, and maybe we'll get 3 live streams tonight if we see that Triple H has been fired today. And I'll think of things to talk about for Triple H. I'm hoping not. Obviously, I'm hoping not. That's not what I want. But again, with how quickly everything moved yesterday, I wouldn't put it past, some more big news happening today. So that's it. I'm gonna make sure and end it right now. So thanks, guys, for tuning in, and I will see you all later on tonight, whether for Dynamite live stream or for my AEW Universe live stream. Again, if you want to make sure that you're present for both of those, hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when to come visit me. Take care, guys. Have a great rest of your morning and enjoy your breakfast, and we'll enjoy some more wrestling.